Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! When I was 18, getting ready to graduate high school, my family had always been a bit unconventional. My parents, both successful international business consultants, had to move around a lot for work. They didn't want to uproot me during my crucial final year, so we made the decision that I'd stay with my grandparents in the States to finish school. My little sister, though, she was 16 and thriving on the constant change. So when my parents got a long-term contract in Munich, Germany, she jumped at the chance to go with them. She was always the adventurous one, eager to soak up new cultures and experiences. I remember calling her about a month after they'd settled in Munich. She was loving it, babbling about the beautiful architecture, the delicious food, and how she was picking up German faster than our parents. I was happy for her, but I was a little bit jealous, I'm not gonna lie. Here I was, stuck in our small hometown, while she was living it up in Europe. Anyway, this particular day she was out exploring the city on her own. My parents had finally deemed her responsible enough to wander around solo. She was making the most of it. She called me excited to share her latest discoveries. So, how is the big bad city treating you today? Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I just found this cute little cafe tucked away in a side street. The pastries here are to die for. Sounds great. Just don't eat so many that you can't fit into your little hosen anymore. Haha, very funny. That's not even. And that's when it happened. I heard a commotion in the background and then a loud, obnoxious voice cut through our conversation. Do you speak English? I was confused. My sister was clearly speaking English, so why would someone be yelling that at her? She tells me, hold on a second. I heard her pull the phone away from her ear and then I caught what she said next. No, do not speak English. She said it in German, of course. There was a moment of silence and then I heard heavy footsteps stomping away. My sister came back to the phone giggling. What the heck was that all about? Oh man, you wouldn't believe it. This loud American tourist just barged up to me, totally ignoring the fact that I was on the phone speaking English. He got right in my face and yelled, asking if I spoke English. So I just told him no in German. But you were speaking English, couldn't he hear that? Apparently not. He was too busy being a jerk to everyone around him. You should have seen the look on his face when I answered in German. That's hilarious. But weren't you worried he'd realize you were lying? Nah, he stormed off right after. Besides, nearly everyone here speaks English. He'd have no trouble if he wasn't being such a, what do Grandpa calls it? A horse's back. We both burst out laughing at that. It was just like my sister to handle a situation like that with such sass. So what happened next? Well, he started bothering other people, still yelling about English. But get this, everyone he approached suddenly forgot how to speak English. It was like a domino effect. This nice old lady even winked at me as she pretended not to understand him. No way, the whole city turned against him? Well, not the whole city, but definitely everyone on the street. It was amazing to watch. He got more and more frustrated, his face turning redder by the second. Serves him right, to be honest, for being so rude. But weren't you worried he'd come back and confront you? Nah, I wasn't scared. There were plenty of people around, and besides, I picked up some choice German phrases that would make even mom blush. I don't even want to know where you learned those. Let's just say hanging out at the local markets is very educational. We chatted for a bit longer, laughing about the incident and imagining the tourists' continued struggles. As we were about to hang up, my sister suddenly gasped. Oh my god, you won't believe this. What happened? Remember that loud tourist? He just walked into the cafe I'm sitting in. No way. What's he doing? He's at the counter trying to order something. But he's still shouting, acting like if he speaks English loud enough, everyone will magically understand him. Is he bothering you? No, he hasn't noticed me yet. Oh wait, the barista just asked him to leave if he can be respectful. He's throwing a fit now, demanding to speak to the manager. Wow, a real-life Karen in action. Oh, this is priceless. The manager just came out and guess what? He's speaking perfect English. Really? What's he saying? He's telling the guy that they reserve the right to refuse service to anyone, especially those who disrupt other customers. And oh my god, he just told him that his attitude is giving Americans a bad name. That's amazing. How's a tourist taking it? Not well. His face is so red. I think he might explode. Wait, he's leaving. That's incredible. I can't believe you got to witness all that. I know, right? It's like karma in action. I think I'm really starting to love this city. The people here are just so, I don't know, united against rudeness. It's refreshing. And that was it. Honestly, I'm grateful that even though we were separated by an ocean, we could still share these moments together. Here I am, a soldier on leave, just trying to enjoy a peaceful day at the mall. After months of intense training and deployments, all I wanted was a bit of a normalcy. But apparently, that was too much to ask. One day, I decided to treat myself to a nice lunch at the food court. I was standing in line at my favorite burger joint, minding my own business, when I felt a sharp jab in my back. Hey, you, move it. I'm in a hurry. I turned around confused. There stood a woman, probably in her 40s, tapping her foot impatiently. Excuse me, ma'am, but there is a line here. We're all waiting our turn. Do you know who I am? My husband is friends with a mall owner. I don't have to wait in line like the rest of you peasants. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. I'm sorry, but that doesn't give you the right to cut in front of everyone. We're all equal here. Equal? Huh. Look at you in your silly uniform. Plain soldier, are we? I bet you've never even seen real action. Her words stung. If only she knew about the things I'd seen and done during my tours. But I wasn't about to get into an argument. I turned back around, hoping she'd give up and leave me alone. Big mistake. Suddenly, I felt her grab my arm, trying to yank me out of line. Move it, you useless grunt. I said I'm in a hurry. And that's when I lost my cool. I spun around, my voice firm but controlled. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you once to keep your hands off me. This is your only warning. Or what? You'll shoot me? Oh, I am so scared. She then did something I never expected. She slapped me. Hard. Right across the face. The entire food court went silent. I could feel everyone's eyes on us. My cheek stung, but what hurt more was the disrespect, the entitlement, the sheer audacity of this woman. There, maybe that'll teach you some manners. She raised her hand again, ready for another slap, but this time I was prepared. As her hand came down, I caught her wrist mid-air. I warned you, ma'am. I've been trained to defend myself and others. Your behavior is unacceptable. Let go of me, you brute. Help! He's assaulting me. I released her wrist immediately, not wanting to give her any ammunition, but she wasn't done. She started swinging wildly, her fists pummeling my chest. How dare you touch me? I'll have you court-martialed. I'll ruin your life. That's when I did something I never thought I'd have to do in civilian life. I used my training. In one swift move, I sidestepped her attack, grabbed her arm, and used her own momentum to spin her around. Before she knew what was happening, I had her in a secure hold, her arms bent behind her back. Ma'am, I am placing you under citizen's arrest for assault. Please stop resisting. Let me go. You can't do this to me. Don't you know who I am? By this point, mall security had arrived. They'd seen the whole thing on the cameras. As they took her away, she was still screaming and threatening everyone in sight. Security guard tells me, we're so sorry about this, sir. Are you alright? I'm fine, thank you. Just a bit shaken up. An elderly man tells me, you did good, son. Thank you for your service both here and abroad. I nodded, grateful for the support. As things calmed down, the manager of the burger joint approached me. Your meal's on a house a day, soldier. It's the least we can do. I tried to refuse, but he insisted. As I sat down to eat my well-earned lunch, I found myself chuckling at the absurdity of it all. Here I was, trained for combat in far-off lands, and my toughest battle ended up being in a mall food court against an entitled woman. After finishing college with a degree in computer science, I landed a decent job at a small tech startup. The pay wasn't great, but it was enough to get by. I figured I'd saved up for a while, maybe buy a house in a few years. But then the dot-com bubble burst, and suddenly I was out of a job. With my savings dwindling fast, I had to downsize. That's how I ended up renting half of a duplex in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't much, but it was all I could afford wild job hunting. Little did I know that my new living situation would turn into a nightmare, thanks to my neighbor from hell. From day one, she was a pain. I'm not talking about normal neighbor annoyances, this was next level stuff. She complained to our landlord about everything and anything, real or imagined. One night, I got a rude awakening that perfectly summed up what I was dealing with. Landlord on the phone, "Hey, sorry to wake you up, but your neighbors reported a loud party at your place. Can you keep it down?" Me, groggy and confused. "What? There is no party. I'm alone and was sleeping." "Are you sure?" They said it's crazy loud. "The only noise here is probably my snoring. I swear, there is nothing going on." "Alright, I'll let them know. Sorry again for waking you." That was just one incident of many. It got to the point where I dreaded seeing my landlord's number pop up on my phone. But I tried to be the bigger person. I figured maybe if I was nice enough, she'd ease up. So one day I decided to do something neighborly. There was a shared shed on a property with an electric lawnmower. After mowing my half of the lawn, I thought, why not do her side too? It seemed like a nice gesture. The cord didn't quite reach her whole yard from my outlet, so I plugged into hers for the last bit. No big deal, right? Wrong. The next day she came storming out of her house like a hurricane. "How dare you use my electricity without permission?" Me, confused. "I'm sorry, what?" "Don't play dumb. You used my outlet to mow the lawn." "Yeah, but I was mowing your lawn for free. I thought I was doing you a favor." "I don't care. That's stealing. You had no right." Me, exasperated. It was probably like 2 cents worth of electricity. I was just trying to be nice. Nice? Huh. You're just trying to take advantage of me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'd done her a favor, and this was the thanks I got. I just shook my head and walked away. There was no reasoning with this woman. But it didn't end there. Oh no, she had to take it a step further. The next day I saw someone installing clear boxes over her outdoor outlets, complete with bad locks. Talk about an overreaction. That's when I decided enough was enough. If she wanted to play games, I could play too. And I had just the skills to do it. See, I've always been fascinated by locks. Back in college, I picked up lock picking as a hobby. I am no expert, but I can handle simple locks without breaking a sweat. And those bad locks she used, they were the cheapest ones you could find at Walmart. So I went to Walmart and bought two identical locks. They cost me all of $6. Then I waited for my chance. When she was out one day, I quickly swapped her locks with mine. To anyone looking, they appeared exactly the same. Weeks went by and I almost forgot about my little prank. But then one sunny afternoon, I heard a commotion outside. I peeked out my window to see a hilarious sight. There was my dear neighbor, standing in her overgrown lawn, furiously trying to open the bad locks. She was red-faced, sweating and muttering curses under her breath. After a while, she resorted to slamming a hammer against the clear boxes, but to no avail. She's yelling, "Why won't this stupid thing open?" She kept at it for a good half hour before giving up and storming back inside. It was pity, I'll admit, but oh so satisfying. As the weeks went by, her lawn got more and more overgrown. I'd see her occasionally trying to open those locks, getting more frustrated each time. She even called a locksmith once, but of course, they couldn't help. The locks worked perfectly fine, just not for her. Eventually, she must have given up entirely. Her side of the property started looking like a jungle, while mine remained neatly trimmed. Whenever the landlord came around, I'd just shrug and say, "I guess she likes the natural look." The complaints to the landlord about me mysteriously stopped too. I guess she was too embarrassed about her lawn situation to draw attention to herself anymore. Sometimes, when reason fails, a little creativity goes a long way. I've always been a bit of a night owl, but in the mid 2000s, when I was in my early 20s, I found myself working a graveyard shift at a local factory. The pay was decent, but the hours were rough. To unwind after work, my buddies and I would head to this small billiards place in the next town over. It wasn't fancy, but it had cheap beer and a relaxed atmosphere. For a few months, it was our perfect routine. We'd roll in around 10 p.m., rent a table for a couple of hours, and just chill. Sometimes we'd watch whatever game was on the ancient TV mounted in the corner, but mostly we'd just shoot the breeze and play pool. It was our escape from the mundane grind of our day to day lives. One night, though, everything changed. We walked in ready for our usual game, only to find some guy we'd never seen before hugging our regular table. No big deal, we thought. We'd just wait our turn. After about 20 minutes of waiting, my friend decided to give the guy a heads up. Hey man, mind if we get the next game? The guy barely looked up from his shot, waving his hand dismissively. Yeah, whatever. We shrugged it off and kept waiting. But when he finished his game, he just racked up again without a word to us, and that's when I decided to step in. Excuse me, we were hoping to play next. We've been waiting a while. Another woman who'd been watching nearby chimed in. And I'd like the game after that, if that's alright. The guy acted like he couldn't hear us. He just kept playing, ignoring us completely. We were getting frustrated, but what can we do? Finally, after what felt like forever, the guy left the table. We thought this was our chance. We quickly put our quarters in, and the balls rolled out, except for the green six ball. It was nowhere to be seen. That's when we realized what had happened. This jerk had taken the ball with him to the bathroom. It was beyond ridiculous at this point. I went to find a manager, explained the situation, and asked if he could do something about it. The manager just shrugged. Look, it's almost closing time. I don't want to make a scene. How about I just get you another ball so you can play? It wasn't ideal, but at least we could finally get our game in. We started playing, trying to ignore the weirdness of the situation. A few minutes later, the guy came sauntering out of the bathroom, smirking like he just pulled off some master prank. He headed out to the patio, beer in one hand and our missing pool ball in the other. Just as we were getting into our game, he came back inside. Without warning, he tossed the green ball onto our table, scattering the other balls and completely messing up our game. Then he had the nerve to stroll up to the bar for last call like nothing had happened. We were furious as we watched him order his final drink. One of my friends leaned in close. You know what we should do? When he leaves, let's follow him and call highway patrol. Report him as a drunk driver. It was a wild idea, but after the night we'd had, it didn't take much convincing. Three of us agreed to the plan, while our fourth friend volunteered to tail the guy. As soon as the jerk left the bar, we sprang into action. We used our push-to-talk phones to coordinate. Each of us called the police to report a suspected drunk driver. We gave them all the details: license plate, car make, model, color. We even threw in some details about his erratic driving. Friend on a phone, I think I just saw him swerve between lanes. He almost hit another car. We knew we only had a short window before he'd be home, so we had to act fast. Our friend who was tailing him kept us updated on his location. After about 15 minutes, we got the call we've been waiting for. Our tailing friend says, "Guys, you won't believe this. A cop just pulled up behind him and turned on the lights. They are pulling him over." We couldn't believe our luck. We high-fived each other, feeling like we just pulled off some elaborate heist. A few days later, we checked the local police blotter. Sure enough, there it was. A report of a guy arrested after multiple calls about erratic driving. He wasn't arrested for drunk driving. Turns out, the idiot was driving on a suspended license. We found a new pool hall after that. One where we didn't have to worry about missing balls or entitled jerks. But we never forgot that night. The night we took down the pool hall menace was nothing but our phones and a little teamwork.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.